First off, thank y'all for coming. The fact that you're here means that you don't fit inside of a box. You have an open mind and that you're willing to learn. And that's really the secret to success in the industry. Healthcare, I'm going to go way back because Clint and I go way back. When I was a resident right out of medical school, came here, did my residency at UT Tyler. I did my first year as an intern, which is where you learn 90% of what you need to know. And that's always somebody above you that teaches you, kind of your big brother resident. So I did that, barely survived the year. The next year, second year, I was so happy until they handed me this guy, Clint. Yeah, you need to teach Clint how to be an intern. He was fired up out of medical school and ready to go. And we spent the next 2 years together until I graduated learning how to do medicine. And I got out of medicine and I went to Nacogdoches, Texas. Started in a traditional family medicine practice, did exactly what they told me I should do. You need to join these guys, you need to do this, you need to see this many people, and this is how you need to act. We knew medicine. I mean, we know medicine well. That's the easy part. So I got out and I practiced and I did what they said. And I did it for a couple of years with some older guys, and I realized I don't fit in here. I don't like what I'm doing. Let me try it with somebody else. So I found some people my age and we started another type of traditional practice where it's fee for service and waiting rooms and long waits. And again, the medicine was easy. I found myself knowing what you need, giving you instruction, whether it's an order for a test, a prescription for a drug, and then the patient would leave. Half the time, there was some reason they couldn't go get what it was they needed. Whether it was cost, whether it was an insurance company telling them that you can't do this. Worse, an insurance company telling them that I didn't know what I was doing, telling them they needed this, and here's a better alternative. You should go back and see him. And the environment didn't allow for that kind of knowledge on the doctoring end to be able to essentially leave there with a plan that was going to be executed for your wellness, which is what doctors want to do. Bad environment. I couldn't stand it. I quit. Told my wife, I said, I'm out. This is terrible. I hate that I've gone all this far, but there's got to be something else to do. My father-in-law is an engineer. I can learn to weld and help him something besides doing this. And looking at it, there were areas of the country starting this thing called concierge medicine. Concept's really easy. You have very few patients instead of a lot. And when you take the ratio of patients, I used to take care of 5,000 patients on my panel. That's ridiculous. I would see people, I didn't even know who they were. And I had about 6 minutes of time on average if I wanted to make a living. And you can't do anything productive in 6 minutes, no matter how hard you try. So the model was simple. Reduce your workload from 5,000 down to 500. That way you have 10 times the time. That's an hour a visit. I mean, you can do anything in an hour. I can learn everything about you in an hour. And then medicine got real easy. So I thought, wow, would this work in East Texas? So I started my company, MyMD Select, and it's a membership-based practice. People pay me monthly to reserve that one spot, which is representative of time, anytime they need it. Not, I'm sick today, you can come in next Thursday and we'll get to it. It's today. Everything is now. Once patients signed up, we were able to get them in, do a 90-minute top to bottom interview. These are exams like they teach you in medical school, and then you never have time to do them. I mean, doctors don't even touch patients anymore, and that's not the way it should be. So we've gone back to the basics. We examine patients. We sit down for an hour and we tease out why they're on the medicines they're on, what they need to do to stay healthy, what their lifestyles are, what their church life is like, what their insurance world is like non-medically. We take every aspect of their life and make sure that there's not stressors that are unnecessary. And we spend time doing it. And then once that's done, that relationship is bound. It's so easy to take care of people. After that, 80% of what I do is on a phone call or a video message. We've got technology that puts literally our patients have us on their phone in their pocket, and at a click of an app, we're connected. That's the kind of relationship and access that we were able to establish for patients. And that's what I've been doing now into my 3rd year. Started in Nacogdoches, weren't sure, I had no idea if it was going to work. Today we have 4 clinics in East Texas. It's amazing. Our patients create more patients. A lady asked me, how are you doing your marketing and where you're at? I'm just like, well, I'm not. Our patients create more patients and create more patients. It's almost a problem for me. So I was given a talk kind of like this, and Stephanie, Clint's wife, calls me and says, oh my God, Jeremy, can I come? Well, I haven't talked to Stephanie and Clint in 8 years. And I thought, what are you talking about? No, come to my house and come see me. I miss you guys. And Clint got out of school, looked at the environment, and was smarter than I was and said, hey, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. I'm not working like that. So he went into ER medicine and became an expert in not only family but ER. And we did a lot of ER training. But he always wanted to be a family medicine doc. He just didn't see a model which allowed him to do it. So we met. I explained this to him. I taught him again how to do things that I'm doing, and now he's here in Tyler doing concierge medicine. We're living a dream, and it's incredible. Been open 6 months, eight months, and already thriving. The neat piece came with the environment and insurances and Obamacare, where everyone kept asking, I want to do this for my employees. Can I do this as a health plan? I mean, we're saving tons and tons and tons of money sourcing things for people on an individual basis. It was an interesting question. Can we do this at the employer level? So we reached out to a third-party administrator. Cass is here representing them. And we built a unique product that's never existed anywhere. A self-funded plan that takes concierge medicine, that relationship, the benefits of it, both financial and health, and we've put it in a small business plan that is a lot cheaper than the off-the-shelf products you get from the big carriers with concierge medicine. Our savings, our average health plan has $1 million budget. We're saving between $250,000 and $300,000 a year on those plans, and that's allowing for memberships for every employee and their families with a concierge doctor. It's a benefit that people like. Before that, when I was in medicine, everyone was really upset at their boss for giving them this insurance plan that didn't work. And I kept thinking, my God, I'm not going to pay for anything that's going to upset my employees. But every day, employers are doing it. So we're way outside of that storyline. We're way outside of the box on that. And our solution works great. So we're here to teach you and tell you about it. I talked a little bit longer than I wanted to. I want to let Clint grab a hold and brag about his version up here in Tyler, Texas.
Well, like you said, I was burned out. I was in the ER, and I just said, I guess for a while I was happy doing it. It was a good lifestyle. I was off on a Tuesday. I could go to the bank while they were open. There's benefits. And then one day God just said, yeah, you're not happy doing that anymore. And I looked around and was like, you know what? I'm not happy doing this anymore. And then after a while, I started getting real burned out, and Stephanie was just kind of wondering what the deal was. And one day I came home with this book about how to build tree houses. And I thought, I could be a tree house builder. That would be so fun. Who doesn't love that? I mean, everybody watches that show. So, so she said, well, what about concierge medicine? And I was like, it's a pipe dream. Nobody gets to do that. There's a TV show about some guy in Martha's Vineyard pulling that off. And I'm like, that's a dream. But then God started opening doors, and we thought we were going to do it. And then we saw Jeremy, went to go visit Jeremy. And I said, man, I don't want to work for you, dude. I want to work with you. And as it turns out, all of the other people doing concierge medicine in Dallas and the big cities, kind of where it already exists, they're kind of doing it wrong. And Jeremy couldn't find anyone doing it right. And so he just said, start from scratch. Let's go. So I was able to kind of come in as sort of, Dr. 1A and sort of help say, what does Concierge look like in East Texas? And I call and bug him all the time, like, no, what do you do for this? Because I'm running into this wall and they don't have this insurance, and the hospital tells me I can't get it unless they, have this. And so it's fun. We are problem solving stuff like crazy. My front office, my wife is my physician assistant when I'm not there. She helps with the front office, and we have Michelle, front office manager. And every day, like, no, I think we got it kind of settled. And then every day there's some sort of patient crisis thing where they're trying to get something they can't get. And we solve those problems every day. And it's amazing. It's a blast. So this next piece with the insurance, I'm fixing to hand it off to Cass. You don't have time to hear my story except to know that Tyler, Texas has somebody that will sit with you for an hour, same day appointments, no waiting room, no waits, call, text, email. I will know you. I will take care of you. It's a blast. I don't even want to build tree houses right now. Maybe later. But this next piece I've been kind of holding off on because I've seen what it did to Jeremy's practice. It was blowing up. It was growing so fast. These companies it went from Jeremy asking companies saying, hey, would you be interested in saving a lot of money and giving your people great care? And eventually get a couple to say yes, to the business. Their friends who own businesses were coming and kind of beating down Jeremy's door. And it was like, I just started. I'm just getting good at this whole how to take care of patients on a day in, day out concierge basis. But now God has blessed us beyond belief. It's growing. We're enjoying it. The problem solving is nothing but a blessing. So we said, okay, well, let's get Cass up here. Let's introduce this idea to our community. Our community is, it's Tyler. Don't you dare say something bad about somebody in this town. Because at the table next to you, who you don't know, that's like their best friend. Everybody knows every. So this community it's special in a lot of ways. But once we sort of I was just scared. I was like, man, once I open Pandora's box, there's no telling, because this product is so much better. It's so much cheaper. There's money left over in the bank afterwards. People are healthier. Employees are happier. And the only person that loses is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Wow, there's no way. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm going to hand it over to Cass, and this is step one of however many it takes to sort of wrap our brains around being way outside the box. But the box stinks so bad that nobody wants to be in that box. So I'm gonna hand it over to Cass, and we told him, now listen, this is intro level stuff. Once Cass starts going, I sat in a meeting with Cass and a local insurance representative, and within 30 seconds, it was like they were speaking French. I have never heard so many acronyms and so much talk that I did not understand. And I was like, well, so much for medical school. I'm in the wrong business. So we're going to do some overview. We're going to talk a little Obamacare. I'm going to let Cass take it from here, but I can't. I'm going to sit down and listen with you guys because there's so much to learn about this stuff. I don't even pretend. So Cass, thanks a lot, man.
I'm Cass Sharp. I'm with Intrust. We're a third-party administrator out of Katy, Texas, suburb of Houston. So I know we have to dive into a lot of stuff, have a short time. I'm going to be pay attention to the time to make sure I get through it all. We're going to be talking about health plans, the Affordable Care Act, all this great stuff, right? So how many people in the room love their health plan? 1, 2, 3. 3 people. How many people don't like their health plan?
Well, that's because I have Clint Carter.
Oh, that's because you have Clint Carter, so that one doesn't count. So, well, that's what we're here to address today, right? Because I'm going to get to the point that, to make it short and sweet of the big picture, our healthcare system is broken. It's the bottom line. It's not working. The cost is unsustainable for employers and for individuals. And if you're an individual now and you don't have an employer-sponsored health plan, you can't go to MD Anderson. You don't have a network, and you're being told where you can go. You have no choice. PPOs were eliminated. Now you have one carrier on the market. Before the passing of the Affordable Care Act, there was 5 major carriers. We used to call them the BUCAs, Blue Cross, United, and Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Humana, Aetna. Now there's only 3, and now only one is in the individual market. Now we're going to repeal and replace, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 years, maybe who knows. But I tell you, I've read the bills that are in the 115th congressional hearing session, okay? They were not written today. They were not written this year. They've existed, they've been around. Now they're just trying to pick which one they're gonna use. Is it gonna fix the problem? When you hear these things on the news, what's the one thing you hear people say that's what you have to do to fix healthcare? Anybody? You hear HSA, right? HSAs are gonna fix all of these things. Right? HSAs are going to fix everything. That's what you need to do. That's probably what your agent's going to do, but that's great. But you know what? An HSA doesn't have much of value to your regular average worker, and it doesn't stop the hospital or anyone else from billing whatever they want to bill. Okay, so with that, I'm going to want to dive into $1 of a health plan. And this is also going to explain self-funding. Self-funding is an ERISA plan established in 1974 under the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. We used to call it every ridiculous idea since Adam. So you hear a lot of things about self-insured. You hear partially insured. There's really no such thing as partially self-insured unless, well, there's a doctor here. Can you be partially pregnant? Okay, so you can't be partially pregnant. You can't be partially insured. So I'm going to set the mic down for a second. I do speak pretty loud. I'm going to trace $1, okay? And I want to go over where the dollar that you're spending for healthcare right now is going, whether being fully insured, self-funded, and how this plan helps that dollar and helps your bottom line. Then I'll get to the ACA, and then I'll get to the value. So when we look at $1, insurance, guys, is the transfer of risk and the promise to pay. And for the doctors, they know when someone walks in with insurance, they're not getting the money before it's done. They're getting a promise. It's verified. Hey, we will pay you this money back. So promise to pay. It's a way to finance healthcare. But there are other ways. If we trace $1 of what we would call a healthcare expense, it's broken up into different ways. This is going to go to self-funded. With a self-funded plan, it is insured. Okay, while you hear it's self-insured, it's insured. It's just that instead of being in a big heap and sharing this dollar with everybody else's dollar, and then a network, which is nothing more than a negotiation, they negotiate on your behalf for health care. They don't tell you the price. It's hidden through gag orders, so you're not even allowed to know what the cost for health care is. How many times you go into the clinic, don't worry about it, you have insurance, give me your card, and I'll tell you how much you owe. Well, with PPOs, and insurance companies can only make 15% of administration, 85% has to go to paid claims. PPOs make a profit on paid claims. So that means every time they're paying a claim, no matter what it is, the PPO gets a dividend based on that percentage of claims that are paid, right? So with a traditional self-funded health plan, it also kind of sinks in a little bit with insurance, but about 10% of your cost is going to go towards what we call administration. And I'm just going to put admin. What is administration? That's building the widget of processing, paying your claims, taking care of all the things. Every time you hand the ID card, there's somebody over there that's working in an office to pay a claim. Right? Administration's paying all the claims. As I'm going through this, Entrust, we're a third-party administrator. So what we do is on behalf of the employers, we sign an administrative service agreement, which means we pay claims. We have our own attorneys. We draft the plan document, which is going to dictate how this dollar can be spent or cannot be spent. Now, this constitutes about 10 cents. So now, where's the other 90 cents go? We're going to purchase insurance. Now, with insurance, you've got to think of it this way. Self-funded could have the same exposure as a fully insured plan because you can buy runoff as long as you want. You can fund your risk based on whether you want it to cost 30 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents. So the exposure, you can have what we call maximum claims liability plans, just like fully insured. You're going to pay us a fixed rate. This is the rate you pay us. We're going to take that. If something's left over, out of the remaining 60 cents, it's yours. Now, we are only going to take a dime out at a time because the insurance has a deductible. So we can only pull a dime out per person. So $1 million claim, for example, you can only take a certain percentage out. It's a little complex to go through the different types of stop loss, so I'm not going to dive into that. What I want to say is that 60 cents of every dollar is pure claims cost. Now, what does that mean? How does a doctor help that? How does concierge medicine help that, and how does self-funded health plans help that? Right now, to get something done, and let's take Houston, we can have a procedure that ranges from $20,000 to $200,000. What is the true cost for healthcare? Does anyone know what a laphidectomy costs? Does anyone know what an MRI costs? Somebody give me an idea what you think an MRI costs.
Well, I can tell you that I had one done that if I was an insured, they would have charged my insurance company $24,000. I paid $750 out of pocket.
Cash.
Cash, complete cost.
Okay. So we went from 750 to 24,000?
Yes, I got
Okay.
the documentation.
Who thinks that's uncommon? Who thinks it's uncommon? Who thinks that's a special instance? It's not. Not knowing, handing the card over, if he had an HSA, he would have only paid $5,000, correct? If he had a $5,000 deductible, for example. Then the insurance company would have had to pay the additional money over that $5,000. With self-funded, it comes out of this 60 cents. That's a shared responsibility. This is never touched. But that point to that matter is what is the true cost of health care? Doctors, physicians understand the economics of health care. Well, 1 out of 10 do. Well, maybe more. I don't know. But the doctors who understand the economics understand that there is very, very serious issues with overcharging. And I want to give you an idea. If you took an aggregated bill for everyone in the entire United States, put it on one bill, right? You remember the Affordable Care Act, them talking about this term, actuarial value? All right, this is how they got it. They take an aggregated bill for everything in the entire United States that paid medical bills. Then they started segmenting that up into little pies. And they said, this is for inpatient facility, this is for outpatient facility, this is for pharmaceutical, and if you add all those things up and it's 60% of all that cost in that bill, you have a minimum value plan. I want you to know that 52% of the total spend in the United States is paid to a building. Inpatient and outpatient facility charges constitute 52%. Once you add pharmaceuticals on that, you're going to add another 28%. Doctors are getting about 14%. So who's controlling healthcare? Who's controlling how it's done in our current system? Why is it broken? Why is it falling apart? You follow the money, you get to those issues, right? That instance you gave, $750 MRI versus 24, those things happen. When you have a watchdog and a concierge doctor for your plan, and they go through the proper steps, those things don't happen. The egregious billings stop. I am on an in-trust self-funded health plan. We have about 140 lives. We have an incentive cash play program. I'm having surgery tomorrow. I'm not going to go through much details, but I will say I have a cash incentive, paid $0 out of my pocket, and was actually paid $500 to have my surgery tomorrow. Because my plan pays me 20% savings to incentivize me to go get a cash price for my surgery. So I called in Houston. Random looked up a doctor with a 5-star rating. Couldn't see him for another 2 weeks. Called Dr. Jeremy. I said, hurting? He said, get up here. Got up there. Cash price, all in, surgeon, anesthesia, everything. Facility charges, $3,500. We ran it through the PPO. It's around 13 grand. Then we go to what we're going to be talking about, how the plan's structured, which is Medicare. Well, I'm not 65. You don't have to be. 52%, 52, 53, somewhere more than half. Okay, it depends which study you use. Most of the stuff comes from Kaiser. Of all claims paid in the United States are based on Medicare. That's the only metric that we can find to truly measure what the cost of healthcare is. And if we're all paying for it, we've got to find out exactly how much it is cost, what's a fair price. Well, they can pay in between 90 to 100% of Medicare. We pay $150 to the facility, we pay $130 to the doctors, We pay $200 to what we call the reapers, radiologists, anesthesiologists, pathologists, and ER doctors, which are going to bill you outside of your PPO anyway, which we'll get to. So let's multiply this. It's not $1 anymore. If you have 100 lives, how much money do you think you're spending for your employer-sponsored health plan?
Approximately 100,000.
100,000? Average is about 750,000. If you have 100 people on a plan, you're almost paying $1 million, close to it. That's okay. If you have about 80 people, you're probably 80 to 50 people, depending on how good your rate is, you're spending $500,000. And when you talk to those employers, or if you are one of them, you know that the increase that you've gotten over the last few years has been compound, right? So it's compound over time. So it's 15 this year, it's 20 the next. I was paying $250,000 5 years ago. I had a $1,000 deductible. Now I have a $5,000 deductible and I'm paying $600,000. It's unsustainable. It's broken. That's why the Affordable Care Act's there. That's why the penalties are there. That's why all those things are there. Self-funding, and with the correct plan document and understanding how this works, and in conjunction, we're going to squeeze this 60 cents. Now you take away something. There's no network with these plans. We like to call them freedom plans. You can go anywhere you would like. Now this is going to bring me to my next point about healthcare. So I got to set the mic down. I talk loud enough, but I like to use a little diagram to explain, like the gentleman's MRI, right? Which was a good example. So let's go with the PPO. We can put an HMO here, but I wouldn't recommend an HMO to my worst enemy. Then you'll have what we call RB-MAC. And again, I'm going to go to that. That's reference-based Medicare allowable charge. Why do we like to use that? With PPOs, they CPT code you, they line item you to death. This is why an aspirin is $5 instead of 5 cents. This is why a titanium screw that goes in your back is $6,000 instead of $600, because durable medical equipment is marked up over $1,000 in the facility. Okay? Medicare pays off what's called diagnostic grouping codes. They don't care if you're in the hospital for 3 days or 30 days. You're paid off that diagnosis. Same amount of money. With a PPO, they have these great things we like to call outliers. Once you're in the hospital for a certain amount of time, it reverts back to their charge master percentage, whatever they want to make up. Charge master is an artificial price. No one knows what the charge master is. It's different at every single place. This eliminates price gouging, but at the same time, pays a fair price. Then there's the king. Cash. $750 beats $24,000. Now, if I had to give like the Pinocchios you always hear, right? But in dollar signs, this is probably a realistic metric. And this is why you hear per $1 million, we're saving our clients $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Per dollar, we're saving 30 to 40 cents. Because someone else has negotiated this. Someone else has talked about that price. It's not a doctor. It's regulated by someone else. You have no control over it. This is the problem that's caused it to accelerate and get out of control, right? So how do we fix it? All your employees aren't going to call and negotiate a cash price. They're not going to go through all of those things. So I'm going to go through a little diagram, and then I'll get into the nuts and bolts of the ACA real quick. And I just kind of like to draw a little stick figure here, because it kind of makes the point. This is a C. This is the C of healthcare. You're here. You got to get over here. Something's wrong with you. You need your outcome done, and it needs to be done. Now, I hate to say it, I'm going to draw crossbones, but There's a lot of dangerous stuff in this water. There's overbilling. There's all these medications. $90,000 for a 3-month supply of Harboni, $1,000 a pill. They're selling it for $9 outside the country. You've got to get over here. Right now, under the current health system, your boat is your PPO. But it doesn't help you get to the other side. Some people will say that the agent's the captain, but if he doesn't know the water and how to get through it or navigate you, some do, some don't. How do you get to the other side? Where do you go? How do you get there? A lot of people are going to touch you from the time you go to here, from the time you get here. Even with the PPO, you're not necessarily going to be completely covered, and it's not going to cover everything. What if you go to the emergency room, get admitted in the hospital, get rushed to surgery? Is your PPO going to cover everything under that one deductible? Answer is no. What if the emergency room doctor is not in the network? What if the anesthesiologist that does it is not in the network? Now you'll pay the deductible then, but they can bill you outside the plan, which we call balance billing. So how do you get there? The simplest way, guys, with the shortest amount of time, is that we build a plan, which a bridge. The foundation of that bridge is the plan document, and it's assisted and fortified with the concierge medicine as the advocate and the structure that's going to get you from here to there seamlessly, just like the PPO is supposed to do, but it's failing, right? Pretty simple. I know that's a horrible picture. I'm not good at drawing, but I hope you get my point. I have a PPO. I was lost trying to get surgery in Houston. Was lost. Couldn't get a straight answer. I'm on the phone calling the general surgeon. Well, we do laparoscopic surgeries here. I need your insurance. That's the first thing. They didn't even diagnose me. Never saw me. Well, my insurance, but we can see you in about a week and a half. It's not an answer. It's not a solution. This will eliminate, by the way, there's a bottomless pit in here, which is why it's failing, right, in the Loch Ness Monster. And it's meant to drain as much money because there'd be pirates here, right? You're trying to get across, and that's what they're doing. All right, that's the simplest way I guess I can think of to explain it. I guess, can share a couple things on these groups. We started doing reference-based Medicare allowable plans about 4 or 5 years ago. We had problems with them because the patient didn't know where to go because they were basically kind of floating along. Once we have concierge medicine involved in that, it eliminates all those things. We've got a doctor going out to the work site, drawing blood, getting a panel on everyone, getting their information, their medical history. I think I have the flu. All I have to do is pick up, use my app, call my doctor. My son had strep throat. Now I'm sick. I get a text message in 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Go pick up my amoxicillin from Walgreens. Think I have shingles. These are actual things that happen. Take a picture, send it. 15, 20 minutes later, got a prescription. I got an HSA, it costs $500. My doctor sends me a coupon with a copay for $50 for a $500 drug. Doctors understand how to get those done. The plan makes sure the allowable is done. So it increases value, and we squeeze that 60 cents. If we only spend 20 cents, there's 40 cents left over. And that's what we're seeing. That's where I'm coming up with that number. Employers that used to pay millions of dollars or $1 million with the PPO traditional type plan are sitting there not paying their bills for 2 months or not funding the plan for 2 months, and we go to talk about it at plan review. They're sitting there with $200,000 in a trust account to roll over for next year. Now, here's the bad part about these plans. There's no deductible, there's no coinsurance. It can be drafted in such a way, if you shop it, or a direct contract exists, which there's a lot of them, we'll go through all that today, and you go to one of those safe harbor facilities that's already been negotiated, or your doctor, your concierge doctor for your group, excuse me, can negotiate that cost, the plan will pay 100%. Just like me, just like the instance I had. So, with that being said, as far as the plan, I know I went through a lot of that stuff in the numbers quickly. Is there any questions or comments about that?
So
I'd like to say something
Yeah.
to the group. I'm an employer. I also recruit healthcare providers across the U.S. with my company, medicalrecruiting.com. What I want to say about this is years ago we started seeing the trend of healthcare providers being hired to solve the healthcare crisis at the micro level. This is solving it at the micro level. For instance, my insurance company, I have to go to ETMC. I'm choosing the doctor that I want. I made a primary care appointment yesterday. They had to go to April 26th
ouch.
for me to set an appointment with my primary care provider for a well visit. Okay, that's just an annual examination with a primary care provider. And I have top-notch insurance. The ETMC call center asked me what insurance I had. Are you Medicare, Medicaid? No, I'm self-insured. This is the information. Okay, Cigna. And it still takes that long. And I can tell you, across the nation, you can pinpoint a dot on the map. That community is hiring a primary care doctor because they're underserved. There are not enough primary care physicians, nurse practitioners, physician assistants to go around. And so they're hiring everywhere. The only way to break that cycle is a solution like this. It's the only way. So.
I didn't pay him a dime. But the idea is that the system is designed not with the patient in mind. And so we're stepping outside the system in a lot of different ways. And you can get an insurance plan that benefits your company and not use a concierge doctor. You can get a health share and not use a concierge doctor. You can get me and not have any insurance at all, and I'll take care of you the best I can, and we'll just both at the end of each meeting pray that nothing bigger happens to you. But really the best of both worlds is out there. We just have to figure out how to get there. Hi, I'm Dr. Clint Carter at MyMD Select in Tyler, Texas. We put these videos together for you to help clarify some questions, but ultimately it's too big of a problem to solve in one video. Fortunately for you, we're local. We do personalized medicine on a regular basis, and we're here to help you answer the rest of your questions and help you find solutions for your family and your business. It's a grand mystery. Let me help find some clarity for you. Come and see us.